What will happen when a giant wounded elephant walks straight toward two vets in the middle of the wild? In the heat of Zimbabwe's bush, something feels wrong. He's hurt, he's bleeding, but there's something in his eyes. Is he seeking help? Or is it already too late? Watch full story to find out. The story begins in Manapools National Park, deep in the wild heart of Zimbabwe. It's a hot, dry place where the sun burns down from the sky and the ground seems to crack under your feet. Here, animals live freely, but they're not always safe. Sometimes the real danger comes from humans with guns. It was a quiet Sunday morning when two vets from the Aware Trust, Dr. Daniel Khumalo and Dr. Amina Dube, set out on their weekly mission. They were there to help the park's injured animals, something they had done many times before. That day, they had just finished treating one badly hurt elephant and were now looking for two more that had been reported wounded. They moved slowly through the thick trees and tall grass, scanning the land. Tracking wild animals takes time and patience, and both vets were used to waiting. But something about this day felt different, more urgent. They had a name for the next elephant they were trying to find. He was big, strong, and possibly in serious trouble. His name was Tembo. Tembo wasn't just any elephant. He was a massive bull, strong and proud, known to roam the wild lands of Manapools. But now, something was wrong. A person had seen him from a distance and shared a post on Facebook. The message was simple but alarming. Timbo had a deep wound on his shoulder and needed help fast. The Aware Trust team, along with the Kariba Animal Welfare Fund Trust, didn't waste time. They quickly got permission to tranquilize and treat him. Normally, finding a wild elephant takes hours of walking and waiting. Dr. Daniel Khumalo and Dr. Amina Dube knew this could take all day, but they were in for a surprise. As they headed toward the area where Tembo was last seen, something unexpected happened. Out of the trees, a giant figure appeared. Tembo was walking straight toward their vehicle, as if he knew they had come to help. Most wild bulls are cautious, even aggressive. But Tembo looked calm, trusting. Still, as he came closer, their hearts sank. What they saw wasn't just a shoulder wound. There was a large, open hole right in the middle of his forehead. It was worse than they thought. Even before double-checking his ID, the vets knew they had to move quickly. Tembo was in pain, and time was running out. They called for backup and prepared the tranquilizer. But sedating a giant like Tembo is never simple. One wrong move could be deadly, and when Dube saw his back legs shaking, her worry grew. Still, they had no choice. They had to try. Once sedated, the vets moved quickly. Tembo was lying still on the dry ground, and it was their only chance to help him. They carefully checked the large wound on his head, and what they found made their hearts sink. It looked like Tembo had been shot. A bullet was likely lodged deep in his skull. To be sure, they took an X-ray. The results confirmed their worst fears. Someone had tried to kill him, most likely a poacher. But strangely, the bullet hadn't killed Tembo. It had hit just a little too high and bounced off the thick part of his skull instead of going straight through. That tiny bit of bad aim may have saved his life. Tembo had survived a shot to the head. The bullet caused a terrible wound, but not death. The poacher had used the wrong type of bullet, one that shattered bone but didn't do more internal damage. Now lying helpless, Tembo couldn't defend himself. Dr. Khumalo leaned in and gently explored the hole in Tembo's head. He pulled out something soft and pale, like plastic, but it was actually pieces of broken bone from Tembo's sinuses. The bullet itself had vanished. It had either broken apart or gone too deep to reach. Either way, it would likely stay inside forever, but there was still some hope. Dr. Dube later explained that when bullets enter the body, they are often sterile due to the heat they produce. The real danger comes from infection entering through the open wound. And Tembo's wound had become infected, but not because of the bullet. The vets cleaned the area carefully. Blood trickled down as they flushed it with antiseptic. It was painful to see such a peaceful, proud animal lying hurt like that. Tembo had done nothing wrong, yet someone had tried to kill him. Still, the team wasn't giving up. Their work was far from over. After nearly an hour, Tembo's breathing finally steadied. The vets looked at each other and nodded. It was time to wake him up. They gave him the antidote to reverse the tranquilizer. But this was the part they feared most. Wild animals don't always wake up gently. They can be confused, scared, and even aggressive. And Tembo wasn't just any animal. He was a huge bull elephant, strong enough to flip a car. The team stepped back, holding their breath, ready for anything. But what happened next surprised everyone. Tembo didn't panic. He didn't charge or run. In fact, he didn't even try to stand right away. He just lay there, blinking slowly, as if he was trying to understand where he was. When the team came back later to check on him, they found him leaning against a tree. His head rested gently on the trunk, and his eyes looked heavy, like someone recovering from a long night. He looked dazed, tired, and very, very sad. It was a moment that stayed with the whole team, such a massive, powerful creature, wounded, quiet, and resting like he just couldn't take another step. Dr. Dube later wrote that she felt both relief and guilt. Yes, they had caused him pain by treating the injury, but without them, he might not have survived at all. The bullet was still in his head, too deep to remove. But the infection was now under control. His wound had been cleaned, the swelling reduced, and his chances of healing were real. Dube also couldn't stop thinking about how Tembo had approached them earlier in the day. Wild elephants usually avoid people. Some even charge if they feel threatened. But Tembo had walked straight toward their vehicle, as if he knew, as if he was asking for help in the only way he could. She told the BBC, "It's like he knew we were there with the intention of helping him." And maybe he did. Sadly, most stories like Tembo's don't end this way. In 2011 alone, 1 out of every 12 African elephants was killed by poachers. In just 3 years, over 100,000 elephants were slaughtered across Africa. The damage from illegal ivory hunting has left deep wounds, not just on the land, but in the hearts of everyone who loves these animals. That's why groups like the Aware Trust are so important. They don't just heal injured animals, they fight for change. Their awareness program teaches rural communities about animal care and helps people build better relationships with wildlife. They also work with young people, helping them understand that animals are worth protecting, not harming. Tembo's story is one of pain, survival, and quiet strength. He didn't deserve to be shot, but he did deserve a second chance. And thanks to the compassion and courage of people like Dr. Dube and Dr. Khumalo, he got one. Sometimes, the very thing that should have ended a life becomes the reason it gets saved. Tembo's story proves that kindness can still make a difference.